So being stuck is not the sign of failure, it's the arrival of reality.
Every player will hit a wall, some sooner, some later, but it always arrives. People think climbing is endless because early progress feels effortless.
What if I already know I'm hard stuck, but I just don't care anymore?
Because once you hit your talent ceiling, and believe me, everyone does, you face two doors. And most players choose wrong.
And every time someone asks him how to improve, he just says, just play.
Are you playing for resentment, or are you playing for building?
They boot up the stream, slam that ranked button, and jump in like the game's supposed to reward that.
If I'm investing this much time, where's the return?
All right, Minho, you wrote here, hard stuck is not exceptional. It's inevitable. That's not just a statement, that's a punch to the gut. Let's start there.
It's true. Every player will hit a wall, some sooner, some later, but it always arrives. People think climbing is endless because early progress feels effortless. You absorb concepts by playing. You win fights by instinct. And then one day, that stops working. Your aim feels the same. Your rank doesn't move. You're doing everything you know how to do, yet nothing clicks anymore. That's not a mistake. That's the end of talent.
Yeah.
It's the point where you stop being carried by potential and start having to construct actual skill. From here on out, progress requires intention, and most players aren't prepared for that switch. They don't even know it's coming.
So being stuck is not the sign of failure, it's the arrival of reality.
Right. You've arrived at the floor of your talent. And here's the critical piece. What happens next defines your entire identity as a player. The hard truth is that talent has no long-term value unless it's developed. And most players, once the free ride ends, start looking for external explanations. It's the map, it's the teammates, it's the meta. They never say, maybe I need to build new skills.
Yeah.
I noticed this in myself first. I was putting in hours, tons of them, same patterns, same results. And I thought, if I'm investing this much time, where's the return? That's when I realized I wasn't investing at all. I was just repeating. So I shifted. I stopped thinking of ranked as training. I started thinking in terms of development cycles, just like in any high-performance field. Practice, test, evaluate, repeat. Suddenly, the same hours started giving returns. Not every session, but the direction was different. I was no longer grinding. I was building.
I think players confuse those two constantly. They think hours equal progress. But without that deliberate cycle, they're just floating.
Right. Quantity without purpose leads nowhere. But here's where it gets interesting. Rank plays a role in keeping people blind to this. Players treat it like validation. Like the more they climb, the less they need to train. But rank is not a reward. It's an evaluation snapshot. It reflects what you're able to execute at that moment. And ironically, the higher your talent rank, the more dangerous the illusion becomes.
Because when you're sitting in Ascendant, you can't imagine the problem is you.
Precisely. The idea that someone in Ascendant might still have basic gaps is hard to accept, especially when your entire identity is built on being above average. But being high-ranked talented doesn't mean you're a high-skill player. It just means your instincts have carried you further than most. And then one day, you hit a lobby where your habits don't work anymore.
Yeah.
The same peaks get punished. The same timings get countered. Suddenly, you're not dominating. You're surviving. And the natural reaction isn't curiosity. It's denial. It must be the system, the matchmaker, the teammates. Anything but me.
Yeah. And that's where the wall becomes permanent.
Yes, not because the game changed, but because the player refused to. And this is amplified the higher they are. The more you've achieved through raw intuition, the harder it is to admit that intuition is no longer enough. Players stuck in gold may still believe in effort, but players stuck in Ascendant often believe they've already done the work.
Yeah.
That's the real trap. Talent lets you skip the fundamentals, and when those fundamentals finally become necessary, you have no framework to fall back on. High-ranked talent is still just talent. Doesn't mean they're evolving. I've seen players at Immortal who can't entry, can't support, can't adapt, but they've got sharp aim and killer instinct, so they coast it up. And now that it's not enough, they blame everything around them. Because admitting they need to train would mean confronting the myth they've built about themselves.
And that myth feels safer than progress.
Safer, yes, but it's also a dead end. Talent got you here. It won't take you further. Only construction will.
Okay, I wasn't ready for this. Super Mario Brothers, boy? That's how you want to open the section?
It fits better than people think. In Mario, progress was simple, but not easy. You'd reach a point in a level where one jump blocked you. Maybe it was over a pit, maybe onto a moving platform. You'd fail, again and again. You could rage, you could yell, you could throw the controller, but you couldn't say the game was against you.
Yeah.
The obstacle was there. It didn't change. Others could do it. The conclusion was obvious. You weren't ready. Yet. And here's the critical difference. Mario made it impossible to lie to yourself. Your failure was visible, localized, clear. That one jump, that one timing, that one mechanic. No scoreboard, no team, just your inputs and the result.
And Valorant muddies that picture completely.
Precisely. In Valorant, when you fail to rank up, it's never one clear obstacle. It's noise. You die here, get flanked there, lose a retake, someone tilts, you lose eco. There's always a narrative that lets you escape responsibility. My Reyna has no mic. We had double controller on attack, 3 insta-locks and 0 smokes. You see, it's never your wall, it's someone else's. And this is where the fracture happens. Because once you hit your talent ceiling, and believe me, everyone does, you face 2 doors. And most players choose wrong.
Door 1.
Yes, door 1 is ego preservation. You refuse to believe the game is showing you a skill gap. Instead, you assume you've been placed in the wrong story, that your true potential is being sabotaged by something external. So you start to protect the version of yourself that deserves better. And that's where the monster is born. You start blaming everything. The queue, the teammates, the meta, the riot matchmaker, the teammates again. You rage, you disconnect, you gaslight. And the worst part? You still want to feel good. You still want to dominate.
So you smurf.
Correct. You create a new account. Maybe it's just for fun. Maybe it's to practice. Maybe it's to help a friend. But it's always the same need. You want to feel powerful again.
Yeah.
You log into lower MMR games, and suddenly, everything works. Your shots hit. Your utility lands. You top frag. You win clutches. You hear the voice in your head go, "See? I'm still good." It's just rank that's broken. But that's not proof of progress. That's dopamine from lower lobbies. It's a hit, a high. And like all addictions, it stops working the moment you return to your real rank. And so, the spiral begins. Some players smurf so often they forget how to win in their main. They need the feeling of superiority more than they want actual improvement.
That's brutal, but I've seen it. Players that refuse to work on mistakes, but somehow have 3 alternate accounts they're grinding every week. They're not climbing. They're coping.
Yes, door 1 becomes a loop. A delusion loop. You can spend years there, literally years, believing you're one lucky streak away from rank salvation. But what you're really doing is protecting the lie that you've already earned more than you've built. The hard truth is that most smurfs are hard-stuck players in disguise. They're not elite players having fun. They're failed climbers chasing a memory. And the lower ranks are just the place where that memory is easiest to simulate.
So door 1 feels good, but it leads nowhere.
Correct. It builds nothing. It fixes nothing. You don't become more resilient. You don't upgrade your game sense. You just repeat a feeling until it stops working. And then there's door 2. This one hurts more at first, but it actually leads somewhere.
All right, let's hear the clean version.
Door 2 is acceptance. You accept the wall is real. You stop romanticizing your peak. You stop blaming the external. So, when you are growth enough to debug your playstyle, then you start building. Don't make the mistake to be so confident to know what you're lacking of.
True.
It takes time, and it takes observation to know what to focus next. Starting a cure for a non-disease It's a big waste of energy.
True.
Anyway, here we are talking about a shift in mindset. You reframe every death, every mistake, every lost round as part of the gym. That's the shift. From performance mindset to development mindset. You stop looking at ranked as your validation system. You start seeing it as a controlled environment for testing your training. Your rank is not a badge. It's a snapshot of your current execution under stress. Nothing more. And once you treat it that way, the fear of dropping disappears. Because rank isn't your identity anymore. Training is.
So you're no longer chasing a number. You're cultivating a system.
Yes.
It's incredible how many players are stuck mentally more than mechanically. Just by assuming, well, I'm immortal, it cannot be a skill problem, or I'm ascendant, or I'm diamond.
You're not diamond. You're a work in progress. You play to expose flaws, to build precision,
Oh yeah.
to simulate pressure. The rank system becomes useful only because it punishes your weaknesses consistently. And that's how you actually grow. Not in highlight reels, not in ego highs, in the repetition of discipline.
You ever notice how some players, especially streamers, just look completely disconnected from their own matches? No warm-up, no prep, nothing. They boot up the stream, slam that ranked button, and jump in like the game's supposed to reward that. They look burnt out, sure, but also kind of bitter, like they've got beef with Valorant itself. And it's not laziness. I know laziness. This is something else, something colder. What's your read on that?
I've seen it too. That quiet resistance. And I agree, it's not laziness. At least not at its core. It's what happens when a player puts in hundreds of hours, tries everything they know, and still doesn't move.
True.
That kind of effort, when it leads to nowhere, builds resentment. And eventually, that resentment becomes a wall. What you're seeing isn't someone who's lazy. You're seeing someone who's given up on the idea that effort leads anywhere. They used to warm up. They used to study their mistakes. They probably tried duo queuing, switching roles, grinding late at night hoping the lobbies would shift. They gave the game everything they had, and they got nothing.
And so now they give nothing back.
Yeah, it's a silent protest. They log in and play, but it's not about getting better. It's about watching the clock and hoping something changes on its own. But nothing does, because at that point, they've stopped building.
You know what's scary? It's not even obvious at first. Some of them still look sharp. They can aim, they know the maps, they win some clutches, but you can tell it's hollow. No adjustment, no growth. Same errors, different day.
That's what makes it tragic. These are players who could grow. The mechanics are still there. The game sense is there. But their mindset collapsed. They start believing things like, I've already put in my time, or the game should have ranked me higher by now. It's almost like they think they've got credit built up.
Like the game owes them a promotion for emotional labor.
Right. So they stop treating ranked as a skill test and start treating it like a comic lottery.
Oh yeah.
Surely I'll get better teammates soon. Surely this is the game where it all clicks. But they're not changing anything in their process. It's the same inputs every time. Just pray for a different output.
So no warm-up, no VOD review, no goal setting. Just queue after queue, hoping the system bends in their favor.
And they say things like, training is overrated. I don't need to practice. I just need better lobbies. I already know how to play. I'm just getting unlucky. But what they're really saying is, I've stopped believing effort is worth it.
You can hear it in the tone. They're not complaining because they care. They're complaining because they feel cheated. Like they gave everything already, and now the game is just mocking them.
It's a psychological standoff. The player says, I'm not giving this game one more ounce of energy until it gives me what I deserve. But the game doesn't respond. The ladder keeps moving without them. The system doesn't notice they're holding their breath.
And that's when the decay sets in, right? Not mechanical decay, philosophical.
Exactly. Because now they're not training, not reflecting, not evolving. They're queuing. Just queuing. And if they lose, it's the game's fault. If they win, it's validation that they were right all along. Either way, they're not changing anything internally. They believe they reached the end of the climb at Ascendant or Diamond or whatever their highest peak was. From that point forward, Anything less feels like a betrayal. So why would they go back and study entry paths? Why would they learn utility lineups or anti-eco setups? In their mind, they already made it. The rest should be automatic.
But it's not. It's never automatic past talent. You plateau, and if you don't structure your gameplay from there, you flatline.
And it's not even about elaborate training routines. We're not talking about spreadsheets or coaching sessions. We're talking about basic things. Watching a VOD for 5 minutes, practicing one crosshair angle, rewatching a death. Little things that show intent. But they won't do it, because doing that would feel like starting over. Like admitting they're not already complete.
So they stand still and keep asking why the elevator isn't moving.
Right. And the longer they stay in that loop, the deeper the resentment sets in. They don't just lose structure, they lose trust. And that's the true denial. They're not rejecting training because they're lazy. They're rejecting it because they feel betrayed.
And in a way, it makes sense. If you gave everything and got nothing, you'd stop giving too. But that doesn't change the outcome. The system doesn't bend to your history.
No, the system responds to execution under pressure. Right now, not last act. Not your best streak from 6 months ago. Just what you can do, consistently, today.
And that's where the heartbreak lives. You see these players with solid mechanics, smart instincts, and no direction. They're not pushing themselves anymore. They're waiting. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for redemption.
But rank isn't recognition. It's a reflection.
Oh, yeah.
And if you stop building, it stops moving.
So what do you say to a player like that?
I say, you're not bad. You're just undisciplined. Not because you lack work ethic, but because you stopped believing your effort mattered. You're stuck. Not because the game is unfair, but because you've decided nothing is worth building anymore. But you can change that. Not overnight. Not through some motivational speech, but through structure. Not to fix the game, just to fix your direction. Games don't grow you. Discipline does. And the match just shows what you've built.
Or what you haven't.
Or what you haven't. You know, during the coffee break, you were telling me about that one streamer you follow.
Yeah.
Someone you really respect, but who, honestly, sounds like the perfect case study for everything we've covered today. I think you should bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. It's a bit strange to talk about it this way because, well, I've been watching this person for years now. Literally. I think I have like a 30-month sub streak. They're the only stream I actually keep up with. So I'm not coming at this from judgment. I like them a lot. But it's wild how much of today's episode feels like them. As you said earlier, Minho, when talent fades and nothing replaces it, that's where the spiral begins. And that's exactly what's been happening here. This streamer peaked at Radiant a couple seasons back, maybe 1 or 2, I don't even remember. But since then, they've never been back. Immortal 3, Immortal 2 placements. Some seasons reset even Ascendant 3. Frustration from day one, and you can tell, it cuts deep. Like you said earlier, it becomes this identity fracture. They've convinced themselves they should be Radiant, so any placement below that, it feels like an insult.
Because they think rank is a measurement of character.
Kind of. And you see it in their routine, or lack of it. They jump straight into ranked. No warm-up, no training. Never once seen them open aim lab. And the irony? This person has insane mechanics. Years ago, this must have been back when I was still silver, I messaged them asking for help with aim. I remember I was so proud because I finally beat medium bots in the range. I asked if they could show me a medium session in the shooting range. They said, why not hard? And then they dropped 30-30 on hard mode with a Marshall like it was nothing. I still remember that. Full confidence, calm. Just boom, boom, boom. That's a 40% headshot rate player. Legit Radiant hands.
With a Marshall, oh my god. Yeah. But talent alone doesn't carry forever.
Right. And that's the heartbreak. Because what I see now isn't a washed up player. It's someone stuck. Hard stuck. And angry about it. They still play every day, but it's like a slow erosion. They rage easily. They accuse the matchmaking system of targeting them. They'll fight teammates on round 3. 1 game out of 10 is peaceful. The rest, tension, resentment, exhaustion. And they're fully aware. I've heard them say multiple times, if it wasn't for Twitch, I would have quit a long time ago. People ask them what other games they'd consider, and they say none. Valorant's the only one. They're not even a gamer, really. This is just their sport.
That's more common than people think, especially among players in their 30s. They don't see it as gaming. They see it as competition, discipline, identity. It's like asking a baseball player if they'd like to play football next. It's not that simple.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that they've built up a massive inventory over time. Skins, bundles, sprays. It's not just emotional investment, it's financial. This game represents years of focus, money, even community. It's part of who they are now.
So walking away feels like cutting off a limb.
And staying feels like punishment. They keep queuing ranked, but they don't train. They don't reflect. Their advice to newer players is always, just play the game. That's it. No mention of intentionality. No talk of reps, review, or any of the things we've discussed today. And until today, I used to think it was laziness. Like, why are you wasting your own time? Why don't you warm up? Why not prep for even 10 minutes? But now, after everything we've said, it feels different. It's not laziness. It's this crisis of trust. They've built a kind of cold war with the game. They don't believe Valorant deserves their effort anymore, but they still can't let go.
That's the bind. The addiction remains, but the belief in growth is gone.
Right? So what's left is this weird loop. They play, but don't build. They perform, but don't grow. They rage, but never really change anything. It's like they're broadcasting their own stagnation. And the audience keeps watching because we all relate to it. That quiet fear that we've peaked, that we're just spinning now.
It's a live showcase of what happens when talent expires and nothing replaces it.
It's not even dramatic anymore. It's just routine. They queue, they play, they argue, they log off. No structure, no plan, no shift, just a slow decline in clarity.
And I think that's why this episode matters, because that's where so many players are headed without even knowing it. You hit the wall, you stop believing in discipline, and then you spend the next 2 years blaming the game for what you refuse to build.
Yeah, and watching it happen day after day, it hurts. But it also helped me see all the things you explained today. It's like all the pieces finally aligned.
And that's the mirror, isn't it? We don't just watch players like that. We become them.
Oh, yeah.
If we're not careful.
All right, first question for today from Batista. What if I already know I'm hard stuck, but I just don't care anymore? Oof.
That's an important one, because this is where most players land. Not in anger, not in denial, but in apathy. You recognize the plateau. You know your growth stopped, but you also stop believing that effort will change anything.
Yeah.
So, you disengage. At that point, it's not about gameplay anymore. It's about your relationship with the game. Do you still see it as something worth investing in? Or are you just running on habit and muscle memory? The danger isn't being hard stuck. The danger is adapting to being stuck,
Oh, yeah.
making it your identity. And once that happens, even the smallest improvement will feel like betrayal. Because deep down, you've already accepted the idea that nothing works. But here's the truth. If you're still asking this question, some part of you does care. And that's enough to restart. You don't need passion, you just need structure. Something to rebuild direction, even if it's small.
Yeah. You know, that's exactly what I see in the streamer we talked about earlier. He knows he's stuck. He says it all the time. But there's something colder underneath now, like he doesn't expect anything to get better, and he stopped trying altogether. He's not raging every match. He's just fading, logging in, queuing up, then arguing with teammates when it inevitably breaks. No warm-up, no plan, no intention. And every time someone asks him how to improve, he just says, just play. Like that's enough. But hearing your answer now makes something click. It's not that he doesn't care at all. It's that he does, but he doesn't want to get hurt by it again. So he covers it with detachment. Like, if I pretend I don't care, maybe the failure won't sting as much.
That's a common defense.
Yeah, but I think he'd be better, happier, if he gave himself something to care about again, something small. Just one new habit, something he can measure without relying on the outcome of the game, something to rebuild trust. And that's probably true for anyone asking that question. All right, next one from Deborah is not really a question. It's more of a comment from someone in chat. Training is overrated. What matters is what you do in the match. If you train, maybe you reach your zone faster. But if you don't, you'll get there after a few games. If you're not ranking up when you're in the zone, then training won't save you. Can I take this one, Minho?
Please.
All right, girl. So first off, you're confusing training with warm-up. Training isn't about getting into your zone faster. It's about building repeatable execution, even when you're not feeling it. The zone is streaky. Training is stable. You think your problem is time to warm up, but that's not what's holding you back. If you're already in the zone and still not ranking up, that doesn't mean training won't help. It means your zone is limited. It means your peak isn't high enough to carry anymore. The mistake is thinking the zone is your final form. It's not. It's just your current top speed. Without training, that speed never increases. And being in the zone without decision-making, timing, structure, and discipline? It's like drag racing with no brakes. If your best self isn't good enough to climb, the answer is not queue more. The answer is build a better best self.
I'll add one thing to that. When people say zone, they usually mean focus. But it's not just focus. It's a frequency, a state where reflexes are fluid, distractions are soft, and emotion goes still, where time slows down, and you're moving through the game like a superbike on a slow freeway.
Oh yeah.
The challenge isn't entering that state once. It's maintaining it, preserving it, raising its baseline. You think Tens is just vibing with Osu for fun between games? Nope. He's protecting his frequency, feeding it, staying tuned, because he knows the higher your frequency, the more the game slows down for you, and the less it controls you. So, training is keeping your frequency high, so you stop surviving matches and start shaping them.
All right, last one for today. This isn't a question, it's more of a reaction. It's from Lee. Play for building. That line hit me like an epiphany. I realized I've been playing either to chase old highs or to punish the game for not giving them back. But playing for building, it's the first time I've seen my suffering as something I could actually use. Thank you for this episode. I love that. That's the right kind of weight. Go ahead, Minho. Wrap us.
We've covered a lot, but it really does boil down to that. Are you playing for resentment, or are you playing for building? Resentment play is everywhere. You queue because you're angry. You queue because you're bored. You queue because you want to prove a point to the game, or to your friends, or to your past self. That's playing for addiction, for memory, for ego. But playing for building, that's different. That's when you use the game as a mirror. You start asking, what keeps breaking? What's the actual gap between me and where I want to be? And you fix those things, deliberately, not through hope, through construction. And yes, it helps if someone supports you. Coach, teammate, content creator, therapist, doesn't matter. Anything that adds structure. But here's the hard part. Building requires effort. Not emotional effort, technical effort. And most hard-stuck players refuse it. Not because they don't care, but because they've started feeling robbed. They say, I gave the game everything and it gave me nothing. I'm done. So now, they don't allow the extra effort. They protest. They freeze. And the stuck state becomes permanent. So if you want to restart the elevator, there's no trick, no hack. You have to do two things. Win the resentment and structure your suffering. Even better, do it with help. Then start playing. Not for revenge, not for nostalgia. Play for building.
All right, folks, it's been a pleasure. We hope we could at least offer you a different angle on your Valorant life. We don't believe problems come down to one single winning solution. Rather, we believe answers come from many, many perspectives. This is just one of them.
Yeah.
Minho boy, it was great pairing with you for this episode.
Likewise. Hope to pair again soon.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Thanks everyone for listening, and see you soon.